Hello and welcome to an update of the Titans. So if you recall previous videos, I said that I was going to start to do a harvest or prepare this bin for a harvest. This is where my African night crawlers are, and I'm keeping this. It's just a shade fabric that I folded in, I think it's in 4. And it's just nice because it gives them all the darkness they need, but it gives plenty of ventilation, prevents the bugs from going in. It's cheap material to use and available pretty much everywhere. So the castings are piled up on this side, and this is the side that I have been feeding, the feeding area, I'll call it. Meanwhile, this area is getting dry in preparation for sifting, and I come here once a day, a couple of times a day, whatever I feel like, and just fluff up from the bottom. And that's a really great way to make the castings really nice and flaky, because if you don't do that, sometimes they can dry out in chunks. But if you do this, they will be nice and flaky. If you sift, then I would highly recommend that you do that. Meanwhile, this is the area where we're feeding these guys, and they're loving it, I can tell you. They did a nice job migrating, actually. Let's see. Yep. I'd say they did a good job migrating. They're all here at the bottom. Nice size on these guys. Very nice size. I like the fact that these guys are so large that when you look through the castings, you can easily spot them. Even some of the smaller worms, the babies, you can pretty much spot them as well. So I'm going to give them just a little bit more food. I'm not going to add any more bedding. They seem to have enough bedding. I'm just going to pull this back. Although these guys do an awesome job with carbon, a lot better than the rest of the worms. Based on what I'm seeing, they really do not need bedding at this point in time. So we're just going to give them a little bit of food here. And the majority of the worms did migrate. Sorry. And you can basically see that just by the fact that when I fluff the material on the castings only side, there's almost no worms here. So you can see that they did move to the side with the food. You can see 1 or 2, but the majority did move. So okay, so this is the African night crawlers. Now let's take a look at the European night crawler. So here are the European night crawlers, and we are keeping them in a vermibag tote just so that they don't escape on me as they like to do. Oh, there's a little baby right there in the bubble wrap. Babies love, oh, here's another one. So these guys and more, these guys love to go in between those pockets. So these guys are doing okay. Working the material over. Things seems to be very nice in here. Not too wet, not too dry. And of course, look at the size of these guys. Ah, impressive, right? I know I have babies in here, so I know they're happy doing their thing. They're not happy when I mess with them, but I know it's horrible, but they are really nice size, all of these guys. So I'm just, again, fluffing up the material. I feel it's important to keep my bins healthy and bring oxygen down to the bottom where it does tend to get compacted. You can see these are babies, young worms, definitely. Okay, so we'll feed these guys. I like to feed in the center here. So we'll do that. Check my gloves, make sure we don't have any hitchhikers. Open that bag there. Sorry. Here we go. Nice and large feeding for you guys. It's important to give these guys enough food so it keeps the system running moist. Because it breathes so well, if you give it just light feedings, it can dry out on you. But since I give them wet feedings, and certainly large enough feedings, the system stays nice and moist throughout, and I don't have that issue in here. I also keep this bubble wrap on top, which helps also keep the bin nice and moist, because we do live in a drier climate, so that is something to keep in mind. So that's it. That's our update for the Titans. They're doing great, making babies, and I couldn't be happier. So that's our update. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.